Love is complex. It isn't always warm hugs, endless texts, or constant reassurance. Sometimes the one who loves you the most is the one who seems to keep their distance. And that's not because they don't care, it's because love expresses itself in ways we don't always understand. Love doesn't always show up with bells and whistles. We often think love is about being showered with affectionate words of affirmation all the time. But love isn't always a performance, it's not always something that you see or hear clearly. Sometimes love is quiet, subtle, and understated. It shows up in ways that may not seem obvious at first glance. The truth is, love that whispers instead of shouts can feel confusing, especially if expecting grand declarations. But think about how many times has someone done something small yet meaningful for you that spoke volumes? Maybe they fixed something in your house without you asking or made sure you ate when you were too busy. That's love too. Not everyone is wired to express love in big, demonstrative ways. Some people are more reserved, and that doesn't mean they care any less. It just means their love is layered and often communicated through actions instead of words. What matters is recognizing the intention behind their behavior. There's also an element of trust and quiet love, where someone doesn't feel the need to constantly prove their feelings to you. It's often because they know their love is consistent. They trust that you know it too. It's less about making noise and more about being steady. So don't mistake quietness for indifference. Sometimes the strongest love is the one that doesn't need to be shouted from the rooftops. It's the love that's present even when it's not vocal. It's the kind of love that's always there, even in silence. We live in a world where constant connection is expected. If someone loves you, shouldn't they always be around, always be available? But here's the truth. Love doesn't always mean closeness. Sometimes love means giving space. It's recognizing that being apart doesn't diminish the bond, it strengthens it. When someone gives you space, it's often a sign of respect. They respect your individuality and your need to grow on your own. They understand that you can't pour into a relationship from an empty cup, so they let you refill yours. This isn't neglect, it's maturity. Space also prevents dependency. Healthy love isn't about clinging to each other all the time. It's about being strong enough as individuals to come together without losing yourselves. When someone loves you enough to let you be your person, that's a deep form of care. However, it's easy to misinterpret space as distance. You might start to wonder if they're pulling away or losing interest. But instead of jumping to conclusions, consider this: maybe they're giving you what they know they need for themselves too. Love isn't always about constant proximity. Sometimes it's about allowing each other to breathe. Space allows love to grow. It gives both of you time to reflect, recharge, and fake what you have. Instead of fearing the gaps, try to see them as opportunities to strengthen the bond when you come back together. When you're deeply loved, it can feel so secure that it's almost invisible. Over time, familiarity with that love might make it seem like it's no longer there. You start to wonder why they don't put in as much effort as they used to. But sometimes that comfort is the very proof of their love. Complacency doesn't mean they've stopped caring. It often means they feel safe with you, so safe that they no longer feel the need to prove their love daily. They trust that their love has laid a foundation solid enough to weather the quiet seasons. Think of it like a well-built home. In the beginning, there's excitement about decorating and organizing, but eventually you settle into the comfort of simply living in it. The effort becomes less visible, but the foundation remains just as strong. That's what love often looks like over time. But complacency can also lead to misunderstandings. You might feel like they've stopped trying while they feel like they've earned the right to relax. This is where communication becomes crucial. Instead of assuming the worst, talk to them. Ask what's on their mind and share how you're feeling. Remember, love isn't about grand gestures every day. It's about the little consistent ways they show up for you, even if it's not as obvious as it used to be. Don't mistake comfort for indifference. Sometimes it's the highest form of trust. We all have our love languages. Some people express love through words, others through actions, and some through time or touch. If you expect someone to love you exactly the way you love them, you might miss out on recognizing their unique way of showing it. For example, someone might not be great at saying, "I love you," but they'll show it by fixing your car or making sure you're safe. That's their way of expressing what they feel. If you're only looking for verbal affirmations, you'll miss the love they're pouring into you through their actions. It's easy to feel unloved when someone's way of expressing it doesn't match your expectations. But love isn't about forcing someone to change who they are. It's about learning to see their efforts and appreciating them for what they are, not what you wish they'd be. When you're loved by someone with a different love language, it requires patience and understanding. Instead of focusing on what's missing, focus on what's present. Ask yourself, what are they doing to show they care? Often you'll find the answer in their actions, not their words. The beauty of love is in its diversity. Instead of expecting uniformity, celebrate the fact that they love you in a way that's authentic to them. It might not look the way you imagine, but it's real and it's theirs to give. Love doesn't erase the challenges of life. The person who loves you might be dealing with their battles, ones they don't always share. It's easy to feel ignored when their attention seems to waver, but often it's because they're trying to keep everything else in balance. Stress, work, personal struggles, these can all take a toll on someone's ability to show up consistently. It's not that they don't care about you, it's that they're human. Love doesn't make someone immune to the pressures of life. Think about the times you felt overwhelmed. Did it mean you loved the people in your life any less? Of course not. It just meant you needed time to deal with your issues before you could fully focus on them again. The same goes for the one who loves you. Instead of assuming their distance is about you, try to offer understanding. Ask if there's something they need or a way you can support them. Sometimes the best thing you can do is simply be patient while they navigate their struggles. Love isn't always easy or convenient. It requires grace and understanding, especially when the person you love is carrying a weight you can't see. Supporting them through those moments is one of the most powerful ways to show you care. Real love is not about instant gratification. It's not about getting everything you want when you want it. Love in its truest form will test your patience. It will require you to endure moments of doubt, misunderstanding, and even frustration. But these tests aren't there to break you, they're there to strengthen you. When someone truly loves you, they're not always going to be perfect. They'll make mistakes, take you for granted at times, and test the limits of your endurance. This doesn't mean their love is flawed, it means their love is human. Perfection doesn't exist in relationships, only growth does. Love that's worth having doesn't come easy. Sometimes you'll feel ignored or undervalued. But instead of jumping to conclusions, ask yourself, is this a temporary phase or is it a pattern? True love will come with rough patches, but it will also show you the effort to repair what's broken. Patience in love means accepting that good things take time to develop. It means understanding that the person who loves you might not always meet your expectations right away. But if they're consistently trying, that's what matters. Love isn't about being perfect today, it's about being better tomorrow. Testing patience doesn't mean playing games or being hurtful. It means pushing each other to grow, even when it's uncomfortable. Love is a journey, and patience is the fuel that keeps it moving forward. It's not about how quickly you arrive, it's about the strength you build along the way. Sometimes the best way to show love is by holding back. It's not about ignoring you or being distant, it's about giving you room to breathe. The person who loves you deeply knows that too much attention can feel overwhelming. So instead of crowding you, they step back. This doesn't mean they love you any less. It's a sign of emotional intelligence. They understand that healthy relationships aren't built on constant contact, but on mutual trust and independence. They're not trying to smother you. They're trying to nurture a relationship where both of you can thrive. It's easy to misinterpret this space as neglect. You might wonder why they're not texting you every hour or checking in constantly. But think about this. Do you want a love that's built on insecurity? Or do you want a love that's confident enough to let you be yourself? Healthy love requires balance. It's about knowing when to step forward and when to step back. The person who loves you and gives you space isn't being cold, they're being considerate. They're showing you that they trust you to maintain the connection, even when they're not hovering. Love that doesn't smother is love that lasts. It's love that understands the value of freedom and respects the individuality of both people.